All right, let's move over to the lightweight division now, where we got the return of Lando Groovy Vannata, who comes in at minus 255. He goes up against Darius Flowers, who comes in at plus 215. Now, we haven't seen Vannata in action in over 3 years. Last time we saw him go up against Daniel Zellhuber, he started slow, had some success in round 2, but then fell back in the third round as well as Zellhuber was picking him apart from distance, and we saw Zellhuber win that fight on the scorecards. Vannata has been somewhat underachieving in the UFC. You know, he had that short notice matchup against Tony Ferguson as his UFC debut, put on a much better performance than people were expecting him to, but then it really didn't work out all that well for him in the UFC. He's a unorthodox athletic striker. He likes to throw a lot of flashy techniques. He's a BJJ black belt now as of November 2024. During this 3 years that he's been off, it seems like he's been staying active in terms of traveling, hiking, and staying active enough in the training room at least to get that BJJ black belt. He's been doing seminars and all that stuff. So he's been staying active to a certain extent. But that was kind of a name that caught me off guard when I saw his fight get announced here. He's 34 years old. No real desire, in my opinion, to fight for a title or try to get back to the top, but more so just to go out there and just be free, do the groovy thing that he normally does. So I am excited to see him throw down. And it looks like the UFC is kind of doing him a favor for, returning and by giving him an opponent that he should go out there and beat in Darius Flowers. Now, Flowers earned his contract, I believe, on the 2022 season of the Contender Series, where he was able to get a slam knockout over Amiron Gogoladze, a fight that only took about 73 seconds. And of course, the UFC is going to sign him, but I don't think he showed much in that fight to be like, this guy's going to be successful in the UFC. And through his 3 UFC performances, we see why. This guy goes out there and throws way too hard, way too early. He utilizes a karate stance, a bladed stance, where he kind of just likes to, dart in with big shots, try to engage his opponent in the pocket, try to get off on some big strikes. But then if he doesn't get the finish, we see him kind of, get tired from throwing at air, and then we see him start gassing out in minutes 3 and 4, and that's where opponents are really start to pull away. That's where we see Jake Matthews get the second round submission. That's where we see Johnson start to initiate the grappling for some goddamn reason and allow Flowers to actually see the scorecards. But that was a fight that Johnson easily could have finished if he kept it in the striking game. And then the Evan Elder fight where, it was a competitive slugfest for about 3 minutes. Then you see Flowers start to slow down, and that's when you see Elder start to take over, and then eventually get to the grappling in the second round where he was able to find the submission win over Flowers. Flowers is a BJJ black belt, but he insta-tapped to Elder's arm triangle choke, right? Like, even before Elder fully got that arm triangle choke position, we see Flowers starting to get ready to tap, and then as soon as Elder gets on over to that side control position, we saw Flowers tap right away. The guy just does not manage his gas tank well at all, and it's bitten him in the ass every single time in the UFC. I don't think he's a UFC level fighter, and I believe he was actually cut after that third loss to Elder, but it's just worked out for him here. Perfect opportunity for him to get back into the UFC, welcoming back a veteran like Lando Vannata. Unfortunately for Flowers, this is just a tough matchup. The one lucky thing I will say for Flowers is the fact that he's facing a Vannata that's coming off of a 3-year layoff. Flowers is also coming off roughly a 2-year-long layoff, so both these guys could have ring rust going into this fight. But if Vannata has a little bit of slippage early, it's possible Flowers could counter him and land a big shot of his own and possibly get a finish. Maybe if Flowers tries to go for submissions, he might be able to catch Vannata early. But I really expect Vannata to dance circles around Flowers, engage in the pocket with him a little bit, showcase good enough grappling defense. And then as Flowers start to slow down, I think Vannata's cardio edge will start to muster up. And I think from there, he'll really start to bang on Flowers and get him out of there in the second or third round. The under 1.5 currently sits around plus 175, which I wouldn't be, too mad at taking a shot on, but I feel like they might adjust that later on in fight week to make it 2.5. And if we get anything better than minus 120, minus 125, I'd be more than happy to take a shot on the under 2.5. I'm expecting Vannata to come out there, really engage in a war, and as Flowers starts to slow down, he gets the finish. But in the inverse as well, Flowers might be able to catch Vannata in a war and get the win that way as well. But I expect Vannata to win. I don't mind the chalk on him just because I don't think Flowers is that good of a fighter, but I wouldn't go super deep on Vannata considering the layoff that he's coming off of. But he should go out there and get the finish in round 2 or round 3.